Some time ago I posted a video, a scan and cut canvas video, showing how you could use basic shapes that were in the scan and cut canvas software and make them into flower shapes like you see here on the screen. I then cut them all out and I made a wreath with them. In this video I'm going to show you how you can do a similar thing using circles and create mats and layers like these, so decorative mats and layers. So this is one layer, and then this is another layer, and layered up, and again here's one layer and a different layer, and just layer them up. And then you could cut those in card, or you could actually make them completely bigger. If I'll just group them together, and you could make this 12 by 12 and you could make a scrapbook page with it. So I'm just going to shrink that back down again, and this one, and I'm going to leave them on screen so I can see them, just to remind me of what I did. Just going to put them over to the left. So we're going to start with the basic shapes, and we're going to choose a circle. I'm going to hold the shift key down and make this circle about 1 inch. I'm going to right click and hit duplicate, and I'm going to make the duplicate about 0.75. I'm going to drag an imaginary box around both, and I'm going to go to edit, align, center, and edit, align, middle, and that puts them both directly on top of each other, and they're both selected because you can see two lots of dashed lines. While they're still both selected, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to hit subtract, and that basically makes them one shape with a hollow middle. And if I click on it and fill it with colour, you'll see what I mean. Okay, while that's selected, I'm going to right click and hit duplicate, drag an imaginary box around both and go to edit, align, bottom, and that aligns the bottom edges, but I don't want them overlap like that, so I'm going to move one out just so it touches. I'm just going to zoom in. So I want them to not quite I want them to overlap, but only just. So if I take it away until I can see a gap in the middle, like there, and then click this one and bring it back just so it touches. I'm going to zoom back so you can see. So I've got two circles. I'm going to create a third circle, hold my shift key down, size it down to about 1 inch, and then this time I'm going to select one of the side arrows or side dots and just drag it in to make it into an oval. Right click and hit duplicate, hold my shift key down, and on the duplicate make the duplicate about 3/4 of an inch, so 0.75. Then select them both, edit, align, center, and edit, align, middle. While they're both selected again, hit subtract. And again, I'll just fill it in just so you can see it. You don't have to do this, I'm just doing it for the video. Okay, and then I'm going to position that just above. In fact, I'm going to group these two. So I'm going to select both the circles, right click and hit group, and then I'm going to bring this one over, select everything and go edit, align, center, and it will center this oval to the two circles. Going to select them all and group them all now, because at the moment the two circles are grouped. If I click on those you can see, but if I click on the oval it's separate. So drag an imaginary box around everything, right click and hit group. Now I'm going to, that's a group now, you can see it's only got one box around it. Right click and hit duplicate, there's my duplicate. Hold my shift key down and rotate it. Going to position it just by eye apart, it doesn't really matter. Drag an imaginary box around both and go to edit, align, left, And that lines up these left edges so I know that they're in the same place. While they're both selected, I'm going to hit group. So I've got a group now. Going to hold my Alt key down and left click and drag. And I'm going to drag it all the way around to here. Then let go. Then press my Alt key down again and drag another one out. And let go. Then hold my Alt key down again and drag another one out and position it. Then I'm going to drag an imaginary box around everything and I'm going to hit weld. And that will weld all those shapes together. And if I select it and go up to here and take the fill out just so you can see they're all welded. So that's my first shape. Now I'm going to do an outset. So we'll try 0.2, which is the default, and see what we get. Okay, so I've got my shape here. I'm going to fill it with colour just so you can see it better on the video. I'm going to make it red. Okay, so far we've got our welded shapes, and if I right click this and send it to the back, and we've got our outset that we created for it. So now I'm going to come back up here to the basic shapes and I'm going to just choose a little rectangle. I'm going to make this small, about 1/4 of an inch, so 0.25 high or near as I can, and then about the same this way. In fact, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, so I've got a tiny little rectangle. While that's selected, I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to bring it down here. Doesn't matter how far apart at the moment. Select both of them, edit, align, left. So I know they both line up on the left edge, and while they're both selected, I'm going to create a group by clicking group. Going to do the same thing, hold my Alt key down and drag out and let go. Hold my Alt key down and drag another one out and let go. Hold my Alt key down and drag another one out. And then just do the same 2 more times. So hold my Alt key down, drag another one out. And again, for the last time, hold my Alt key down and drag another one out. Okay, drag an imaginary box around all of those and go right click, group. Now, want to position these in the middle. Oh, that's actually quite a good size. I want to position them in the middle of this black section, but on this red section, and you'll see what I mean in a minute, but that actually looks okay. So I'm going to select, I want the black bit, and move that out of the way. These are all a group and this is one solid shape. So if we drag an imaginary box around both of these and go to edit, align, center and middle, it puts these circle of boxes directly in the middle of this. While they're both selected, in fact, I'm just going to make sure this has to be on top. Yeah, so that's on top. Select them both and hit subtract. And that's now punched those circle squares, if you like, out of this shape. So this is now one mat. So you could cut this in a piece of red card and that would be how it would cut. And then you could cut this in a piece of black card. Let me just bring this to the front. And you could layer that up on top. Okay, I'm going to right click, drag an imaginary box around everything, right click and hit group. And I'm just going to resize it down just to give me a bit of space on my screen. Okay, so that's how I did that one. Then this one was done in a similar way. So we'll start again just to recap. Draw a circle, hold the shift key down, make it about an inch. Right click, duplicate, hold the shift key down, make this one about 0.75. Select both, edit, align, center and middle. While they're both selected, hit subtract. That's now one circle. Right click, duplicate, drag an imaginary box around both, edit, align, bottom edges, because we want the bottom edges to line up. This one I want to overlap more, so I'm going to, because we know the bottom edges are level, I'm going to use the left arrow on my keyboard and just bring this one over. Then I'm going to select the circle and duplicate it. This time, rather than creating a circle and then making an oval and making it smaller, I'm just going to squash it in a bit, just for the sake of the video, and then I'm going to overlap that into the middle. Drag an imaginary box around all three and group. So I've now got a group. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to select one of the circles. I'm just going to ungroup it. Select one of the circles and hit duplicate. And put that on one side for a minute. Select everything. Right click and group. Then right click and duplicate. And there's my duplicate. I'm going to hold my shift key down and I'm going to rotate it round. And I'm just going to bring this one down a bit. Select both of these. Align, edit, align, and just use the left edges again. And while they're selected, right click and hit group. I'm going to hold my Alt key down and drag one out. And then I'm going to drag an imaginary box around these four and right click and hit group. Now while they're grouped, I'm going to hold my shift key down and I'm going to rotate them. Okay, bring in this circle that I created and position this so it just overlaps. Then select the circle, right click, duplicate, bring the other one down here and do the same thing. So bring it in until it overlaps here. Now this one looks as though it needs to come down a little bit, so I'm going to use the arrows on my keyboard. I'm going to select that circle, hold my shift key down and select that circle and make those two a group by right clicking and group. Then hold my Alt key down and drag out. Okay, and then select everything and hit weld. And then if I fill this with colour so you can see it on the screen better, make this one a browny colour. That's what we've got so far. Then what I did with this one, I selected it, I did an outset leave it at 0.2 and say OK. I'll make this one a different colour just so you can see it on the screen. Okay, and then what I did next, I created a circle again. So back to the circle, hold the shift key down, make it tiny. Just use this one as an idea of size. Yeah, that looks about right. Select it, right click, duplicate, bring the duplicate and put it down here so it's in the middle. Okay, select that tiny little circle, hold the shift key down and select that one, right click and group, so they're now a group, and then do what we did before. So hold the Alt key down and rotate until we get two more. While they're still selected, hold the shift key down and select those two and right click and make them a group. Okay, bring these over here and position them. I'm just going to move this out of the way. Now the screen's going slow because I'm recording and I've got quite a lot of shapes now on my screen. Drag an imaginary box around both of these, edit, align, center, and edit, align. And while they're still both selected, hit subtract. I'm just going to fill this, make this a completely different colour now so that you can see it better. Make sure this is at the back, right click and centre back, and then position this one over it. And then if we drag an imaginary box around all of these and go edit, align, centre and middle, you can see they all line up. And then all as I did with this one is I created the circle of squares like I'd done here and positioned them on this yellow